Did you know that you could spend thousands creating a revocable living trust and your family could still end up in probate? It happens more often than you think. People think that once they sign their trust, they're done. But here's the truth: a trust doesn't just magically control your assets, it only controls the assets that actually belong to it. I'm Darcel Lobo, an estate planning attorney, and today I'm going to show you exactly what it means to fund your trust, why it's one of the most overlooked parts of estate planning, and how to make sure your trust actually works when your family needs it to. So let's just start with, what does funding a trust mean? Let's start with the biggest, maybe, misconception about funding a trust. When you sign your trust documents, you haven't actually moved any of your assets into your trust, except for personal property items. With all trusts here at our office, we do a personal property assignment. But think of your trust as maybe like a moving truck. You can have the truck just sitting in your driveway, but until you actually load your belongings inside of it, the truck is not taking anything with it. And that's exactly how a revocable living trust works. It only controls the assets that have actually been transferred into it or placed into it, like with our moving truck example. If an asset never gets placed into the trust, then it could still have to go through probate and the trust would not control it. So let's start with the easiest example and let's talk about real estate. Let's say you own your home, and if your home is still titled in your personal name, even after you create your trust, then your trust does not own it. Your trust does not control it. Now, at our office here at Dow Law Firm, when we prepare a revocable living trust for you, we prepare all the supplements that you need, and that includes a deed to transfer your home into your trust so that the trust does own the home. Now, it is still your home, it's just in the trust. But if you want to sell it, refinance it, rent it out, whatever you want to do with the home, you still can do, because during your lifetime, you still control your trust. You are essentially one and the same as your trust. But this way, upon your passing, with it being in the trust, whoever you've named as your successor trustee can then come in and liquidate assets, sell the home, or transfer the home to whoever it's going to go to according to your trust. In your trust, your successor trustee that you've named, they have to follow the plan that you've outlined. So if the trust says that your home goes to John Doe or Jane Doe, or that it's to be sold, that's what they have to do, but they're able to do so without going to probate. So you want to make sure when you have a revocable living trust created that you have a deed prepared as well to transfer your real estate into that trust. Here at our office, we do that for you. That is included with the package. If you go elsewhere, just make sure that step is being completed as well. Next up, let's talk about your financial accounts. Now, when I say financial accounts, I mean checking, savings, CDs, investments, brokerage accounts, like any kind of financial account is what we're talking about, except for retirement accounts. For retirement accounts, you're usually going to have an individual name for tax treatment purposes, but all other financial accounts, we're going to get those into your trust one way or another. And this is where sometimes people can get confused when it comes to getting your financial accounts into your trust. Now, there's two ways you can do this. So one way is to actually retitle your financial accounts into the name of the trust. So the trust is the owner. That can be a few more hoops to jump through for clients to get the accounts retitled. I find for most clients it's easier to just name the trust as the beneficiary. So it's still titled in your name. You are still the owner. If you have a spouse, maybe they are the primary beneficiary, but then the trust is the secondary beneficiary. And you'll want to discuss this with your attorney if you should name your spouse or if you should name the trust as a beneficiary. Maybe you have both. Again, one as primary and then the trust as the secondary beneficiary. But this way you can ensure that upon your passing, either way, that asset will get into your trust and be distributed as you have outlined in your trust document. So handling financial accounts isn't difficult or complicated, but it is a step that can be overlooked. Here at my office, I discuss this with you, and then in your closing letter, I also have a reminder to you to make sure that you get those financial accounts into your trust, again, either by retitling them or as beneficiary. And so we help you and go over that with you. Again, it's not difficult, it's not complicated. It's just something that you have to make sure that you actually do. And if you open future accounts that you don't own at the time that you created your trust, you want to make sure those future accounts also get into your trust. Now, I touched on this next one briefly, but let's talk about personal property. Vehicles, boats, RVs, everything inside your house, your furniture, your jewelry, your artwork, collections, family heirlooms. How do those get into your trust? Most of those things don't have titles, right? Your vehicles, your boats, your RVs have titles, but most other assets, your personal property assets, don't have titles. That's where we use a personal property assignment that says whatever personal property I own, including vehicles, boats, RVs, are to go into my trust. That is sufficient to get those assets into your trust. So we don't have to actually retitle your vehicles, your boats, your RVs. That personal property assignment that we prepare with all of our trusts will ensure that those assets get into your trust and are distributed how you have outlined in your trust. Okay, now let's talk about the part that people sometimes can forget. We've gone over when you create your trust, you've got to fund it, you get your real estate into it, you get your personal property into it, you get your financial accounts into it. And so let's say you created the trust, you've done all those things, it's funded, everything is perfect. And then 5 years later, you buy another house. You open a new brokerage account. You purchase a vacation property. You have a new checking account. Right? Life happens. Things change. But if those future assets don't make it into your trust, they're probably going through probate to do so. And that's not what we want. One of the big reasons my clients want a trust is to avoid probate. So the takeaway here is to remember that your estate plan is not a set it and forget it process. We don't sign the plan and tuck your binder away into a safe and never to be looked at again. No. As our assets change, as there's life changes, we need to be reviewing and updating if necessary and making sure any future assets you've acquired are also getting into your trust. Your trust should grow with you as you go through different phases of life. And again, as your assets change, we want to make sure everything is in your trust and that your trust accurately reflects what your wishes are. If you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Creating a trust, that's only half of the job. You want to make sure you do the other half as well, which is to fund it and to get your assets into your trust, because a well-drafted trust owns nothing until you actually fund it. And so if you don't fund it, it's not going to accomplish what you want it to do in the first place. So here at Dow Law Firm, when we help you and we create your Revocable Living Trust, we also guide you through the funding process. And if you're in Washington State, and if 2026 is the year that you want to get your estate plan done, it's been on your to-do list, it's been on the back burner, you know you need to get it done, reach out to our office. We're happy to speak with you, schedule a consultation if appropriate, and help you get that done and get that off your to-do list for 2026. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.